So, these ratios at Salesforce, what do you think today might have been a really good way of structuring these ratios between QE and devs and PMs and devs? And I suspect there's not one single way to do it, but maybe one thing that worked really well at Salesforce while you were there.
Sure. So first, as mentioned, I love ratios. Second, in go-to-market, we use them all the time, right? Like go-to-market organizations, how many SDRs per AE, how many SEs per AE, how many CSMs, how many consultants, right? So in most companies, the GTM, the go-to-market side of the business is highly ratio-driven, which is, in my mind, great for two reasons. One, it makes it really easy to do planning. And two, you have this notion of a unit of scaling. Like you're creating it's not the developer or the sales rep, it's the sales rep plus supporting resources, kind of called a pod or an atom. So you create this notion of a unit of scaling because these things need to scale in ratios. So anyway, so I love ratio-driven engineering, and Salesforce did it. And by the way, they weren't kind of a slave to the ratios. You could always argue for intelligent exceptions, which is important. Much as I love ratios and I love rules of thumb, they're rules of thumb. There's time to break them. So at Salesforce, it was all driven off devs, which is the right way to do it. We should drive in sales, we should drive ratios off AEs, right? I would say how many quota carrying salespeople? To me, it's code writing developers, right? Those are the two core engines. And then all ratios are driven off those two engines. At Salesforce, I'll just tell you the numbers because I remember them. It was 2/3 of a quality engineer per dev, 1/3 of a PM per dev. So meaning 3 devs per PM, 1/8 of a documentation person per dev, 1/8 of a user experience person, 1/8 of a perf-eng person. Particularly Salesforce, this is always sensitive because they had to keep the system up and running, and that wasn't very easy. So to catch that on the front end, we had perf-eng people watching how stuff was built with an eye towards scaling it.